When John Carpenter's Halloween was released over 40 years ago, the premise for the movie was pretty simple. A madman escapes from a mental health sanatorium and on the way back to his hometown, he robs a hardware store taking a $2 William Shatner mask as part of his loot and proceeds to brutally murder 3 teens without remorse, mercy, or even a clear motive. Now, 4 decades old, the franchise is ever expanding and has seen installments that range from being fairly badass to unforgivably bad.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
It has branched off into multiple timelines, a few reboots, featured a young Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle in The Curse of Michael Myers, and even veers off at one point to feature a crazed mask maker who attempts to murder all the children in the world using mystical pieces of Stonehenge. While the quality of the overall franchise can be debated, there's no denying the staying power that it still holds over the horror genre, especially its leading man, the Shape himself, Michael Myers. Director David Gordon Green is currently in post-production on Halloween Ends, starring Jamie Lee Curtis in her final outing as Laurie Strode, which is due in theaters on October 14th. So, what better time than now to reassess the first 2 installments in his Halloween trilogy, the aptly titled Halloween from 2018 and middle chapter Halloween Kills from 2021. The franchise has more timelines than poor Marty McFly had to deal with in Back to the Future, but Gordon Green has focused on the events from the 1978 original, decanonized some aspects of it, and brought back some legacy characters to battle the seemingly unstoppable monster that is Michael Myers one final time. Well, until the next reboot. So grab a Shatner mask and crank up that John Carpenter synth score, because you know it's time for Face Off!
Disclaimer: no actual science was used to determine the outcome of Face Off. Your results may vary. Please do not consume Face Off if you are allergic to conjecture, opinion, or general nonsense.
Round 1. Opening scenes. David Gordon Green's first foray into the world of Michael Myers was largely met with praise upon its release in 2018, and one aspect it does extremely well is to cleverly erase storylines from previous entries and go totally back to the basics. The opening scene is therefore key in establishing what has happened to Myers in Gordon Green's reimagining. Since he went on his infamous killing spree in 1978, there isn't necessarily a chilling or gruesome reveal at the beginning of this movie, but what works very well in the sequence is how he is now seen as a point of obsession for true crime fans, with 2 podcasters masquerading as investigative journalists visiting him in a high-security facility. A wide establishing shot from above sees the podcasters and Michael's psychiatrist, Dr. Ranbir Sartain, once a pupil of franchise legend Dr. Loomis, walking towards a shackled Myers in the facility's yard that resembles a giant chessboard with various inmates littered around it, like chess pieces. One of the podcasters, Aaron, holds aloft Myers' most treasured possession, his mask, and chillingly mutters, "You feel it, don't you, Michael? You feel the mask.
It's a part of you."
Halloween Kills opens with 2 flashbacks that coincide with events from the 1978 original and sets the stakes for those characters who survived that terrifying night in Haddonfield. Instead of opening directly with just how Myers survived being burned alive, we see Allison's boyfriend Cameron discover an injured Officer Hawkins.
He needs to die, and I'm the one that's gonna get him.
Which then shifts back in time to the original movie's events, where Hawkins and his partner McCabe have a fateful encounter with Myers that will shape some of the events in Halloween Kills. It's a neat way to tie this character into the narrative and shows just how much he's been affected by the guilt he has with accidentally killing his partner when trying to shoot Myers, and also his guilt over stopping Dr. Loomis from killing Michael in that earlier timeline. Both are terrific openers, but one gets the job done more economically than the other. Verdict: Halloween 2018. Round 2. Story. With Halloween 2018 being a direct sequel to the 1978 original, it neatly eliminates the canon of Halloween 2 and so on. Therefore, it has the opportunity to explain what happened to Myers in the subsequent years of his crimes and incarceration with a fresh slate. However, with that newfound freedom comes with it the added pressure of an expected fan base. Other directors have attempted to re-examine the psyche of Michael Myers somewhat unsuccessfully in previous films in the franchise. Rob Zombie, at least on paper, would be a no-brainer to helm a Halloween movie, and his 2007 attempt was brutal but divisive, with his problematic efforts to remain faithful to the source material combined with his own origin story for Myers, resulting in a major fan disappointment. David Gordon Green's Halloween looks to re-establish Myers back in Haddonfield as he escapes from incarceration while being transferred and heads for a showdown with the returning Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode. It's a decent premise overall, and it's great to see the carnage unfold once Myers is back in town. But seriously, we gotta stop transferring Myers on Halloween. You'd think we'd know better by now. The sequel, Halloween Kills, has the task of carrying on the narrative from the 2018 movie while also building a compelling story arc of its own for the characters. The film more or less achieves this, but like many sequels in the horror genre, it struggles a little to maintain a coherent narrative in relation to its predecessor. The setup is good as a poignant look into a collective trauma as Michael wreaks more havoc on Haddonfield, and the subsequent mob mentality that breaks out in its residents as more of their loved ones are taken from them is compelling enough in its own right. However, what follows doesn't necessarily add any extra layers or intrigue into the story, but with the amount of brutality on display, does this ultimately matter for the trilogy that director Gordon Green is building? Verdict, Halloween 2018. Round 3, cast and legacy characters. With a franchise as sprawling and iconic as Halloween is, the need to keep fan favorites reappearing from the cast in the movies is key to audience engagement and interest. It's a no-brainer that Michael Myers simply has to appear in every movie, with the exception of anthology entry Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, in which he appears in as a small cameo, despite director John Carpenter initially wanting Myers in the first movie only. So, the seemingly indestructible Michael Myers is a franchise regular, but who else makes a return? Halloween 2018 brings back Jamie Lee Curtis, again after also being brought back in several other films within the series, for a showdown with Mike Myers, while Nick Castle returns as the Shape, also known as Michael Myers, of course, albeit as a cameo and providing breathing noises while James Jude Courtney takes over the physical role. We also see Deputy Frank Hawkins again, this time played by Will Patton, who teams up with Laurie in an effort to kill Michael, and who had actually arrested Michael after his killing spree in 1978. This character also plays a pivotal role in Halloween Kills, and as we saw in the opening scenes, his story arc from the 1978 original and these two sequels is key in developing the overarching narrative. Kills also brings back Curtis as Laurie Strode again, and as the story picks up directly from the events of Halloween 2018, we see her badly injured and on her way to the hospital, believing Myers to have been trapped and killed in the burning house. Nick Castle also returns as Michael Myers for a cameo, and the film also reintroduces some other familiar faces from the 1978 film, such as Charles Cyphers as Sheriff Brackett, whose daughter was killed, Nancy Stevens as Marion, the nurse who survived Michael's attack, Kyle Richards as Lindsay, whose babysitter was killed, and Anthony Michael Hall as Tommy Doyle, Lindsay's friend and one of the children Laurie babysat in 1978. It's very cool to see more of the OG characters and cast members return to the franchise, so we gotta give this round 2. Verdict, Halloween Kills. Round 4, Thrills and Kills. Now this is what we're talking about. The key reason so many gore hounds are fascinated with the Halloween franchise. The vicious kills, and boy, do these movies have some gore in store for the fans. Halloween 2018 features heads being bashed in, snapped jaws, death by rubber mallet, more head bashing, strangulation, a knife through the neck, stabbings, being impaled on the wall by a knife, impaled on a spiked fence, and Michael stomping on and bursting heads. One of the most inventive kills in the movie, however, has to be the decapitated head with its eyes removed and lit up like a jack-o'-lantern. Say what you want about Michael Myers, but the guy knows how to celebrate the holiday. The The death scenes in the movie are suitably gnarly, and the fact that one of the first people to be murdered is a young boy sets the tone for the rest of the movie. Boy, oh boy, are gorehounds in for a treat with Gordon Green's follow-up Halloween Kills. The story may be lacking somewhat, but the brutality on display here does not hold back at all. The kill count is seriously high in this movie, and it begins with the controversial mass murder of the firefighters who arrive to put out the flames of the burning house but end up being slaughtered by Myers. We also get to see many stabbings, including one grisly sequence with a broken fluorescent light bulb, headshots, eyes being gouged out, snapped necks, slit throats, and while some of the kills are left off screen, many are fully realized for audiences to see just how relentless and disturbing Myers' path of destruction is in this movie. The filmmakers have said Myers is in full rage mode during the events of this movie, and it shows. Verdict: Halloween Kills. Round 5, the score. Just as he did for the 1978 original, John Carpenter provides the score for both Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills with some help from his son Cody Carpenter and godson Daniel Davies. The original soundtrack and in particular the iconic mesmerizing main theme are firmly established in the horror genre as hard to forget earworm. In the newer movies, the synths have been cleaned up and the overall dread occasionally overshadowed by nostalgia that nods and winks to the original. Those finger-stabbed piano notes from the main theme burn away any campiness from the franchise, and they are just as ingenious as the movie's premise. A hulking brute of a man murdering babysitters for no apparent reason. The first thing you notice about Halloween 2018's score is that the synths haven't just been cleaned up and given 9-inch nail-style digital guitars, but the synths are actually tuned. This takes some of the creepiness away from the original movie's analog synths, but keeps a consistent tone in the movie, with other musical notes being reflective of other characters. Halloween Kills also features a similarly produced and spruced up score right from the familiar main theme. We're reminded of what we loved in Carpenter's score for the original, but it's bigger, more intense, and full of body. The classic theme is still front and center, but this time there's a ghostly choral section that underpins the most iconic piece of music around. It's as ominous as always and allows you to recall what you love about the theme, but with added tone and intensity that rejuvenates a piece of music we've been familiar with since 1978. Other highlights also include the track Unkillable, which plays in the film when Allison confronts Michael in his childhood home, a score that harkens back to the tone of Carpenter's unique themes and compositions of the 70s. Verdict: Halloween Kills. Round 6, Michael Myers. Throughout the Halloween franchise, Michael Myers has been an unstoppable killing machine. However, is he just a regular human or something altogether more supernatural? He's managed to survive all types of injuries in previous movies, and one theory that may explain his immortality is due to the curse of the thorn. This is a tribal ceremony where one family is sacrificed to ensure the community's survival. The family must be killed by one of their members who is chosen and endowed with the Thorn community's blessing. The curse brainwashes the chosen member into murdering their family for the group to thrive and be blessed. This is why Myers keeps returning, as he has yet to kill a living family member. His sister, his niece, and the niece's infant are all connected. However, the way in which Myers is portrayed in both Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills is slightly muddled. In the 2018 movie, Myers seems like more of a regular person as PTSD-stricken Laurie is able to take him on more effectively, blasting 2 of his fingers off and being able to shoot and trap him inside a burning house, where he would surely meet his end. Halloween Kills, on the other hand, shows us that Myers may in fact be more supernatural, just as John Carpenter has previously suggested about the character. He survives the unsurvivable as the Haddonfield mob track him down and appear to have defeated him, with Judy Greer apparently landing the final blow by stabbing him in the back. Myers, after a monologue from Laurie about Michael transcending and becoming something more than human, proceeds to rise up and destroy the entire mob in a gleefully violent sequence. It's in keeping with what audiences expect from the franchise, but slightly contradicts what was established in the 2018 film. For a more lucid take on the character, we have to go with verdict: Halloween 2018. Round 7, the ending, one last big scare. 2018's Halloween was undeniably a triumphant return for Laurie Strode, Michael Myers, and the franchise as a whole, as it breathed new life into the universe with a talented director full of fresh ideas about the direction it should go in. Its final scene was also very effective, with Laurie, her daughter Karen, and granddaughter Allison teaming up to take Michael Myers down, once and for all, trapping him in a burning house, ultimately to die. However, despite this, the movie doesn't end on what has become popular trope in horror filmmaking, the one last big scare. Sure, the film is a rousing success overall and features some excellent dread and visceral death scenes, but could it have left viewers with a more tantalizing, ominous final scene than the three ladies on the way to the hospital? Perhaps. This was the perfect ending, as the sequel was always going to pick up from where it left off. However, the gorehounds among us would maybe have appreciated one final, shocking moment to keep the suspense. Halloween Kills overall is a beast of a movie in terms of its savage, unflinching series of gruesome kills, and it ends on one hell of a shocking, terrifying scene. After Myers has taken out the Haddonfield mob, including dispatching Anthony Michael Hall's Tommy with his own baseball bat, we get one last gut punch as the boogeyman appears from out of the shadows in the house at the end of the movie to knife Laurie's daughter Karen to death, setting up the mother, pun intended, of all showdowns in the upcoming Halloween Ends. So there we have it, folks. Both movies have bravely battled in what has been a grueling bout. However, which one stands up as the best of the Gordon Green sequels, and which one should have its head crushed by a Michael Myers size 13? Well, it's a close one to call, but based on how gruesome the kills are in the movie and how it sets up the trilogy nicely, this round and this face-off overall goes to Halloween Kills. But don't let us have the final word. Tell us in the comments which slasher flick is your pick, Halloween 2018 or Halloween Kills. And if you dig our videos, please make sure to subscribe and share with all your horror-loving buddies. And as always, thanks for watching.